So I want to talk about these tariffs and why did it cause the crypto and stock market to go into a crazy downspin? It's crazy, but XRP could actually benefit from this and is seeing a surge in network activity as investors react to shifting economic policies and market uncertainty. Today, XRP is seeing a surge in network activity as investors react to shifting economic policies and market uncertainty. Analyst Ali Martinez reports that active addresses and trading volume for XRP have jumped, signaling growing interest despite recent price fluctuations. The increase in active addresses, wallets engaging in transactions, suggests traders are positioning themselves amid broader economic shifts, including President Trump's tariff strategy. In a major development, the White House has announced a one-month delay on auto industry tariffs after discussions with Big Three CEOs and Canadian officials. President Trump has granted a 30-day relief period for the U.S. auto sector, which relies heavily on parts crossing the Mexico and Canada borders multiple times. This move comes after concerns that increased tariffs could disrupt supply chains and impact markets, including the crypto sector. With Ripple being directly mentioned in Trump's proposed U.S. crypto reserve, some investors believe XRP could play a larger role in future cross-border transactions, particularly if tariffs and trade restrictions drive demand for more efficient, decentralized payment systems. The uncertainty surrounding these policies appears to be fueling speculation and increased network activity for XRP, as traders anticipate how regulation and government involvement might shape the asset's future. Meanwhile, Bitcoin is trading at $91,698.77, up 4.52% from the previous close. With XRP's rising activity, Bitcoin's recent rebound, and ongoing shifts in government policy, the crypto market remains at a turning point. The next few weeks will reveal whether XRP's surge is a sign of long-term adoption or just another response to short-term volatility. Right, the trade war just got real. Tariffs hit Mexico, Canada, and China. So crypto, people say, why did Bitcoin go down? Because crypto is highly sensitive to macroeconomic uncertainty. Crypto as a risk-on asset means it's more risky. It's still speculative. Remember, Bitcoin and cryptocurrency is still a speculative asset. I'm going to tell you this too. A lot of people don't like to hear this because it's just the truth. Bitcoin, XRP, Ethereum, every other major cryptocurrency is a speculative asset. What I mean by that, speculative is not bad. It means that we're investing in it based on its potential going forward, not what it's already done, based on its potential. All of these things are speculative. We're buying it based on what it's going to do. That means it's heavily risky. Now, Trump's announcements, the one he did on Sunday and the one he's going to do on Friday, will significantly push the price of all those cryptos up. So the market right now is in a slight recovery because of all that tariff stuff. Because Trump did talk about the tariffs on the State of the Union. And we're going to bring that State of the Union up because I want you guys to know context and where we are.
And this has taken place since our great victory on November 5th, a date which will hopefully go down as one of the most important in the history of our country. In addition, as part of our tax cuts, we want to cut taxes on domestic production and all manufacturing. And just as we did before, we will provide 100% expensing. It will be retroactive to January 20th, 2025, and it was one of the main reasons why our tax cuts were so successful in our first term, giving us the most successful economy in the history of our country, first term. We had a great first term. If you don't make your product in America, however, under the Trump administration, you will pay a tariff, and in some cases, a rather large one. Other countries have used tariffs against us for decades, and now it's our turn to start using them against those other countries. On average, the European Union, China, Brazil, India, Mexico, and Canada, have you heard of them? And countless other nations charge us tremendously higher tariffs than we charge them. It's very unfair. India charges us auto tariffs higher than 100%. China's average tariff on our products is twice what we charge them. And South Korea's average tariff is 4 times higher. Think of that, 4 times higher. And we give so much help militarily and in so many other ways to South Korea, but that's what happens. This is happening by friend and foe. This system is not fair to the United States and never was. And so on April 2nd, I wanted to make it April 1st, but I didn't want to be accused of April Fool's Day. That's not, just one day was cost us a lot of money. But we're going to do it in April. I'm a very superstitious person. April 2nd, reciprocal tariffs kick in. And whatever they tariff us, other countries, we will tariff them. That's reciprocal, back and forth. Whatever they tax us, we will tax them.
So Trump did talk a little bit about, he talked about not having taxes on, or reducing taxes greatly, Social Security, income tax, and also overtime. Now, the reason I want to talk about income tax is because it's very important. He's also talked about raising tariffs on other countries to what it's called reciprocal tariffs. It's called reciprocal tariffs. And what that means is that whatever they charge us, we're going to charge them right back. A lot of people don't realize this, but India, China, and all these other countries do charge us a ridiculously high tariff. That's why it's almost, it's weird that they're arguing with us over tariffs. I mean, India charged us 100% tariffs on have you ever been to another country? Go to Mexico, go to India, go even to Europe. How many Escalades do you see driving around? How many Cadillacs do you see in other countries? I want you to think about this. When you go to other countries, do you ever see Cadillacs? The only American-made luxury car? Lincoln too, but Cadillac's only one really. How many Cadillacs do you see overseas? Think about this. For people who travel overseas, have you ever seen a Cadillac in another country? Ever? Appreciate the super chat, Randy. No, we don't see that. All we see is Mercedes. And over here we see Mercedes, we see Lexus. We see most of our luxury cars in this country are from overseas. But you go to Europe, you don't see that. You don't see any of that. That's because their tariffs are so high that they're prohibitively expensive to do that. To bring a Cadillac into India, you would have to pay 2.5, 3 times what the Cadillac is over here. So Escalade is $120 in the United States on roughly a brand new one at a low, mid-grade. So to get it to India, you'd have to pay $360,000 almost, and convert it over to their country. That's prohibitively expensive. That's what tariffs do, is that they stop. That's what they traditionally were meant for, to stop people from importing stuff into your country and reducing your own country's power. That's why we use tariffs in the 1900s. We use tariffs to stop other countries from flooding our country with cheaper products. Now, Trump has imposed 25% tariffs on Mexico and Canada with an additional 10% on Canadian energy. We get a lot of our energy, especially in the Northeast, from Canada. Chicago, New York, up a little bit higher, Boston. A lot of the energy comes from Canada. So China has retaliated and said they're going to do a 15% tariff on U.S. farm exports and expanded restrictions on U.S. companies. Now, Canada hit back with another tariff. Markets are starting to come back today because we're getting, there's rumors that there's going to be Trump will eventually compromise with these countries because he's not going to allow the stock market to continue to fall. Now, that's some insiders in the Trump administration are saying that Trump is willing to compromise because the escalation is starting to rev up. And that's something that they don't want. China's bold response, they're going to fight to the end. And what the scary part is that they posted on X.com, formerly Twitter, that if war is what the United States wants, be it a tariff war or a trade war or any other type of war, we're ready to fight until the bitter end. That's a scary statement from China. But China did also say on another statement that they're willing to return to negotiations if Trump is willing to do so. So that could have just been a statement to make their people feel like that they're not weak. But China, I believe, will have to return to negotiations because it's very important that they resume talks with Trump because a lot of their economy is built on trade. Insiders are saying that Trump will scale back some of the tariffs over the next week. A lot of people are listening right now and they say, tariffs? What the heck are those? The only time I studied tariffs was in 8th grade history or 8th grade, economics or whatever. Now, tariffs really haven't been used in the last 50 years. Not really used on a large scale. Now, Historic tariffs, for those you don't know, are when a country charges more money on top of whatever that they have to pay for that product. Let's say a car is $1,000. If a car is $1,000, they'll have to pay. So if a tariff is 20%, they have to pay 20% on top of that to the government. Then the car is allowed to come through the port. So tariffs are extra taxes on imported goods from other countries. Now, the traditional reason for tariffs was to make imported goods more expensive, giving the people in the country an incentive to buy homegrown products. That's what tariffs were originally for. So tariffs were used more heavily in the 19th and 20th centuries, 1800s and 1900s. But this is the thing that most people don't realize. Now, Trump is saying, and a lot of other politicians saying that we should get rid of income tax. That sounds like a shocking thing to say, income tax. Why would we get rid of that? But people don't understand the history of income tax. Tariffs were used in the 1900s. That's why we didn't have income tax, because the tariffs covered all of the taxes. We charge people from outside the U.S. to pay for our internal operations, the federal government. That's how we funded these things. We didn't need income tax. We got all the money from them. The income tax first got introduced on a big way during the Civil War. A Civil War came. They said, look, we're going to have to put a tax because we got to fight this war. If you want to live, if you want to be safe, we need income tax. Of course, people hand it over because whenever you want people to hand over money, you just scare them to death. They hand over the money. But after the war was over, they tried to keep it. If people fought back, and it was eliminated. So another time, World War II came along. We need those taxes to protect you and the U.S. borders. Of course, people handed it over. They were proud to. I'm an American, and they get handed over those taxes. But this time, the government never took them back. So what they need tariffs for? They got the money from the people. Money from the people is easier to collect because all you got to do is W-2 them. They make the employers report. They're going to report it. You can get the money easily, and it's consistent, it's dependable, and you can predict it. So you'll always have a consistent tax base. So tariffs are less consistent, less dependable, less predictable. Income tax from the people is predictable. If China starts going around the income tax, their tariffs, you'll find some way to go around it. You can't do nothing to China except go to war. But if you hide your income tax, they'll put you in jail. You're easy to track. You're in the United States. They can use those laws to make sure you pay. So people are expecting the United States to have more volatility in the tax base. Tariffs also create economic uncertainty because we don't know how people are going to absorb those higher prices. Now, you go to Walmart. If you go to Walmart and everything's twice as high, because Walmart has a lot of its products from China. Now, how's the market or the economy going to absorb that? Reduce global trade. Maybe the money's not going to move around the world as much as it did. Decrease liquidity. Therefore, economic downturns in many countries, which will also affect the United States. So tariffs will propagate through the whole economy. Companies that depend on foreign goods, like automakers, tech funds, and retailers, are going to see lower earnings and further stock declines. Like a company like Ford can't get the products in, or Boeing. Boeing's one too. Remember, Boeing, when they make a U.S. jet, 80% of those parts come from China, which is weird. The United States can't build their own jet, which is dangerous. So if they can't build these planes, both commercial and military, or they have to pay twice as much for them, their earnings come down, their profits come down, so the stock price starts to decline. So people are worried about that too. So I appreciate each and every one of you guys. Hope you got a great weekend.